my friends, to finding calm in the chaos. I am Denise Sith, and this is my podcast. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to another edition of Finding Calm in the Chaos. I'm Denise, and here we go. Today we're talking about weather in the storm. Whew, let me tell you, there are lots of storms, and tonight we're not really talking about today. Looking out, sunshine. I say tonight, whatever. Today we're talking about weathering storms, but not necessarily, it's not necessarily your storm. It's not my storm. It's somebody else's storm. And I realize that I'm kind of putting in some work, not only in myself, but also in how I interact and react to people that I want in my life. So this is important, right? I've talked about in the past how I have found it very difficult to have women as friends. And let's be honest, it's because women can be petty and stubborn and complete jerk-offs, and myself included. And we don't really know how. There's a lot of just backstabbing, and we are fierce creatures. You know what I'm saying? And so I have decided that I have been through a lot of stuff in the last couple of years, just on this journey of improvement and spirituality and just finding closer relationships with not just God, but with like the people near me, right? My husband, my son, and the friends that I want to keep near me. And I've noticed that there are a lot of people dropping off, and that's okay. It's okay that they're dropping off. It just means that there are people that are not going to walk the same storm that you do. Okay. And there are ways to help people, because I had to sit down and like think about this. Like, how do you help somebody going through a crisis? Number one, I don't want to accept a crisis. Like, I don't want to accept someone else's crisis as my own. A lot of people do that. A lot of people are, I don't know, so I'm just saying, claiming, super, empathy. If you're really empathic, is it empathic? I guess, I don't know. If you have super empathy for people, and you just absorb all of that, and you are like riddled with anxiety because you just don't know how to separate yourself, that could be a problem. So I don't want to do that, but at the same time, I still want to be available to my friends, but in a loving and calming way. Does that make sense? So today we're going to talk about weathering the storm with a friend, helping a friend through a crisis, because we pretty much know that like adversity in itself introduces all of us, right, to ourselves. Let's be honest, right? You really find out who you are when you are faced with adversity or even troubled times. Say something that's just different. I like adversity because it doesn't necessarily connotate a negative meaning. It could be negative and positive. Change is change, right? It's adversity. But it also kind of gets us in touch with our support systems during that time. I have like a huge helicopter flying over the house. They always sound like they're going to land on the house because we have a hospital down the way. Okay. Focus, Denise, focus. When you have a loved one or someone that you care about that are entering into these like crises, they need like calm and collected people in their corner. You really shouldn't hype them up. You really shouldn't, do all, you want to be able to counter them, to be able to be the opposing force of what they need to help them get through their feelings and their emotions, and just know that you're there for them. And they need calm and collected people in their corner. They don't need you flipping out. If somebody had something like really bad happen and they're flipping out, you flipping out is not being like a sister girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? You're just adding to the problem. Plus, you're taking on that stress, which is what I don't want to do, right? I want this to be like constructive help. And it can be super distressing. It can be confusing. It can be emotional, right? All of that stuff is involved, especially if it could get everybody involved. Like I just said, if you are very empathic, it could take on all of that stuff. And then you wind up being all stressed out and in crisis as well. And that's counterproductive. But there are things that I think that we can do to provide support to people entering a crisis mode or in an issue. And so I thought about like, what are the things that people could do when I'm in a flip out? Like, is the only way I could approach it, right? Like when I'm in my crisis mode or I feel like I'm triggering, how do I go into that so that what would I want? What is the response I want from people? And so I came up with this little list and I think they're really enjoyable. So I'm going to discuss them with you guys today. Number one, don't tell someone to calm down. If people tell me to calm down, it's pretty much like throwing gasoline. The word calm down is like gasoline. And to be honest with you, it is, right? Like just resist the urge to tell a person to calm down or relax. It's just, if they could, don't you think they wouldn't already be doing that? Right? It's like, if I could do that, I'd be doing it now. But it generally kind of always is going to have the reverse effect, period. Okay. Because what it is it's like an order. It's like somebody's commanding you. Okay, you just need to calm down. Okay, I don't need you to be telling me what I need to be doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're initially putting gasoline on the fire, which is basically just putting additional pressure on the person that's in the crisis situation. And, worst case scenario, they're going to be more distressed at best. They're going to calm down. No, they're going to close down. Think about that. They just wanted to be acknowledged, but not with a command. So you just close down rather than calm down. And there's a huge difference because if you're closing down, imagine just like a little fire is set. And so, and you've got a fire growing in a fireplace. And so you toss a bucket of gasoline on it and then you just step out of the house. Because, that's what I'm going to do. You step out. I'm going to close down, close this door, just sitting here with this fireplace raging with gasoline all over it. And you just stand outside, pretend like I'm calm. No, that's not happening. What's going to happen? Eventually, you're going to have fire spread and the whole house is going to be engulfed. And then somebody like gets all flipped out and then we trigger and then I'm going off on somebody, right? Or I'm walking around a house with like crying jags. It's one of the two, right? So don't tell someone to calm down. It's really counterintuitive to helping. Number two, become an anchor for that person. So instead of telling the person to calm down, do assume a calming presence and a caring presence, okay? But adapt like a volume and a tone of your voice to kind of like strike the soothing, like a measured cadence, because I have a problem with when I try to do that, I sound sarcastic and I don't want that, right? So I'm really working on that so that I can really sound calming and soothing and that I want to be there for them and understand them, what is going through and comfort them in any way that I can. But it's also important to stay on the moment, focus your breath. It'll encourage the person that's in distress to kind of, mimic and resonate your composure, right? You're going to kind of tune in and sync this calmer state of being with the other person. And when you're doing that, and that can be anyway, just sitting next to your friend, putting an arm around your friend, handing your friend a candy bar and being like, we're going to sit here and we're just going to eat this. And we're just going to breathe. We're going to breathe, have a piece of candy. We're going to breathe, then we're going to have a piece of candy. That's how I want people to solve my crisis, as I'm just telling you right now in the future. Bring me some chocolate. Number three, Say less and listen more. I keep telling you guys, I'm working on this, and it's really paying off because I'm actually telling people now that I'm working on this. And the one thing I am finding out is that some of my friends don't think I have that problem at all. So I have been told, well, I said it like it's 1,000 people. I had one person tell me that I don't ever let them talk. And turns out it was probably that person's issue, but everybody else is saying that they don't have that issue with me. So I'm like, okay, but I still want to practice on being a good listener. So there's that. So that's what you're going to do in this matter. You're going to say less and listen more because you're not in a crisis mode. The other person is, right? Remember, this person that is in distress, right? The person who's having the crisis is in a form of survival mode, right? They're not seeking advice. They don't want to hear I told you so. Don't say that, right? If it's something even that you said before, don't say it. Just don't. This isn't like a judgment time. It's not criticism time. Just ask enough questions to keep a person talking, but don't ask like probing questions. Like you don't have to be digging for dirt and dishing gossip, okay? There's plenty of time to find out what happened. Like in the immediate moment, you just want to figure out how just exactly you can help. So minimal speaking, more listening. I really think that makes like a huge deal. I wish that in some times that I do get triggered in the few and far between instances between me and Mr. Sith right now, that if we could just get him to do this, he's not a real like touchy-feely guy and he's very quiet. But if we can come past this barrier, like these things would totally resolve a lot of things that we argue about and have disagreements about. So number 4 is establishing a routine because like there isn't like a general direction. Okay. There isn't like this is north, you're in a crisis situation, and that a person can like just take a leave from. You know what I'm saying? There are no established structures, okay, work, extracurricular activities. So like if you keep that in mind, it's important to like make this temporary form of structure to give a person this illusion, the sense of routine. So it could be like little as like turning the radio on, sitting down to breakfast at the same time in the morning, going for a walk in the afternoon, because they say control the controllables. Those are the things you can do, right? Everyone's always like, I don't know what to do. I wish I knew what to do. And okay, well, these are the things you can do. Do something that you can like control, right? So make a routine, establish a routine. You are going to do something at the same time every night together, or you're going to, like they said, go in the car and like just sit with the radio on, or those are the things to do. And again, these are with people that are like loved ones and family members and friends that are close to you. So this wouldn't be so weird. Give them a call, send them a text. So control the controllables. All right. Number 5, sometimes they're not really thinking rationally. So if it is someone super close to you, you might need to make a decision on their behalf. So like, just listen to me, right? I'm not asking you to like, sell their home and like get into their bank account. That's not what I mean. But I couldn't think of better words to describe it. So I'm going to describe it instead. So remember that this person that's going through this serious crisis in their life right now is in shock. And they're not thinking right. They're not thinking rationally. And it's really likely that they just become forgetful and they're just not thinking about everyday life, right? They're doing stuff right now. And one of those things could be as easy as groceries, right? Give it gas, charging the cell phone, bringing a meal, making sure they're fed, little things like that, just to help them, to little things. Because right now they're just they're off, right? They got to do things, they're all freaked out, and it's just too much. And so it's easier to do this than it is to mess around and play games, that kind of thing. So I'm going to take a quick endorsement break, and then we'll come back and finish out the list. Hey friends, I want to talk to you a little today about our sponsor, which is Pet Matrix. Pet Matrix is a premium canine supplement company, and I chose this company straight off the bat for Buster and Chica. Chica is a 15-year-old Shiba Inu, and Buster is a growing large breed Newfoundland, currently at 17 months. Every ingredient that Pet Matrix chooses has a targeted benefit for your dog. Their supplements deliver natural active ingredients through a revolutionary process that they call cell matrix delivery. By applying science and including bioactive peptides in their human-grade all-natural recipes, they're able to target a dog's specific needs, plus provide the benefit nature intended. Now, I use the Think for Chica and Buster. It is a cognitive and neural support supplement. I use the Protect for Buster as well, and that is an immune and gut support. And then I also use the Move for both of them, Chica being older and Buster with growing large bones, an anti-inflammatory and mobility support supplement. If you want to check out Pet Matrix, you can check them out at petmatrix.com. That's PETMATRX.com. And you can use Buster Sith at promo for 20% off. Again, that's Buster, BUSTER, Sith, SITH, no spaces, and get 20% off your order. Hey friends, I'm back. Thank you for listening to a little endorsement for today, but we're getting back to a list of things to help friends and family through crises that they may be having in their life, and just how to be there as a friend, how to help them weather the storm. And we went through 4 things, and we're on number 5. So we're going to jump right back into it because there are a lot, so I want to make sure I cover them all. Number 5 is making decisions on their behalf. And just like the thing, like I said, we discussed it previously before the endorsement break, but just to recap, it doesn't mean that they're signing their house and car and kids over to you. It just means that they're not thinking rationally right now, and they're, scatterbrained, they're a little forgetful. Maybe somebody passed away, maybe, something as extreme as they got into a car accident or something. Little things, someone died in the family, whatever, just, check and see if they need any groceries, send them a meal, bring a meal, take the dogs out for a walk, anything, fill the car up, charge their mobile phone, see if they need anything in the house. Do they need a movie, popcorn, bring them a shake. Who doesn't like ice cream, right? Bring them a shake. Little things like that. So we're moving on to number 6. Provide grounding techniques. So this actually really, really works for me. And I've been trying to get Mr. Sith to work with me in that when I say that something is, I try not to say it's triggering me anymore, because I feel that sometimes that also kind of allows me, gives me a segue into triggering. So I will literally just say, okay, so I'm completely misunderstanding you, or you're misunderstanding me at this point. So I want to reiterate what I'm saying. And so I'm going to leave it at that. And then I try to get clarification from him and keep going in. Okay. So providing grounding techniques. So a distressed person will feel just almost an out of body experience. And I get this, and a lot of people who suffer from anger or rage episodes, you don't remember what's going on while you're in them. So sometimes you can get numbness, almost like a dissociative out of body experience, palpitations. These are all things. Some people get headaches prior to them, or in the midst of them, they just get a splitting headache. you should seek a professional for that stuff. I do. I see a therapist on a regular basis, literally every 2 weeks, to keep up with my treatment. However, there are some grounding techniques that can be like this first line of defense to kind of work in place until that can happen. And so these are things that you can share with other people. Okay. So, diaphragm breathing. I think they call it like diaphragmatic. Diaphragmatic. Is that a word? I don't know. I think it's diaphragmatic breathing. So this is it is a huge help. I do these, and I've really been focusing on them. So I have trouble because I have lung damage from all of the prednisone and steroid use that I did while I didn't use it, like I wasn't shooting up. Okay, I wasn't juicing, peeps. No, I was on a lot of steroid, prednisone specifically, while I got my chemotherapy and radiation. And although it helped me through that period, it of course did some long-term damage on my lungs. So I have the equivalent of almost like someone with asthma, except I don't get treated for asthma because you guys know how I am with like prescriptions. So I don't do anything. I just like learn. So I have been holding off on how I breathe for so long because it is frustrating to say the least. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here just so that you understand how well these breathing techniques can work. So my resting heart rate is normally about 101, 102. Yes, you heard me right, which is why it is very unwise of me to just walk into a health club place and decide that I'm going to work out with a trainer and he's going to push my heart rate up to 120, 130, and then like it bursts out of my chest. People do not understand that when you have a resting heart rate that is super high, you do need to take precautions when you're winded or doing stuff throughout the day that is like activities. So I have been focusing very hard on these diaphragmatic breathing exercises. You take long, slow breaths like in through the nose, right? And then you guide your breath toward like your lower belly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like that kind of stuff, right? I count it out in my head. You really utilize 5 senses. That really helps as well. Okay. While you're doing it. So, 5 would be like look around, notice 5 things. Okay. So anything it could be like a leaf, a flower, or, the grass and whatever's there. I see a dish, a cup, coffee, that kind of stuff. 5. So 5, look around and notice 5 things. 4, feel. Name 4 things you could feel. The socks on my feet are tugging on my ankles because they're swollen. I feel a chair I'm sitting on. My hair I feel the clip in my head, that kind of stuff, with my hair, not in my head. The clip is in my hair. It's not in my head. So yeah, you know what I'm saying. So 4, so you're 5, look at 5 things, notice 5 things. 4, feel, name 4 things you could feel. 3, listen out 3 different sounds and then name them. Like, what do you hear? It could even be like, I heard the toilet flush. It doesn't matter. Okay. It's just a count out. 2, smell, notice 2 things you smell, and 1, taste. Notice something you could taste. You could taste anything. And if you can't taste anything, just think of your favorite taste. Like, what would you want to taste right now? If you do that, it really helps. And let me tell you right now, I have my Fitbit on, so let me pull it up because I have noticed a remarkable change. So I'm going to go to my heartbeat at the moment is 99 beats per minute. That's pretty good for me because it's normally about 110 about a month ago. And I have a history on my Fitbit app to like show me that. And my resting heartbeat is 92. That to me is a huge improvement because it means I'm so close to getting it in the 80s. And if I continue these breathing like exercises and I stick to them this time, what is that going to do? Like by the end of the year, can I get that into the 70s? Because that's what like my goal is. I would love to be like 79. I don't want to push it. What I'm saying? I think Carl, Mr. Sith, I think Mr. Sith is at like 72 or something. It's like, I'm like, are you hello? Is anyone home? Is anyone awake? So yeah, so try to do that. So that is the number 6. Provide grounding techniques. It could be anything. It could be anything. Sometimes, like, you just can hand somebody. Peter has he did them in his ideas and super skills classes, or super habits, I should say. One of the super habits was learning how to cope with frustration, and they made these like little felt like monsters. They're just like rectangles with like little fringe on the bottom, and they got to decorate them with like eyeballs, googly eyes, and stuff like that, noses and whatnot. And then you can just like squeeze them and toss them across the room. You just keep chasing after them and like tossing them around. Number one, you get the energy out, and then the frustration because you're tossing him around, and you can squeeze him, and he's cute. You know what I'm saying? I think every adult should have one of those. I would like a big one, like the size of a pillow. That would be cool. Okay. I'm like, note to self. All right. Number 7, encourage them. Don't be condescending, but suggesting, because you're not doing this all in the first visit. Here's some milk. I thought you needed some for your coffee, or some oat milk, whatever they drink, and then go through like the entire list with them. No, you would address a few at a time. Or just 2, pick 2. Don't like go in there with a list. That's just going to trigger. Encourage them to do like some sort of body work. Okay. So, in order to heal like trauma and brain, mind, body, whatever. Okay. Emotional trauma in itself leaves like this physiological imprint on the body, right? So the sooner a distressed person does like body work, which is yoga, reflexology, raindrop method, essential aromatherapy, massage, a pedicure. Let's not get picky, right? Maybe it's just getting your nails done. The better. The sooner, the better. Because it's also important to ask a person who is traumatized some sort or in a crisis how they're feeling physically. Because in most cases, it's going to help them open up about how they're feeling mentally too. But if you just ask somebody like, how are you feeling? Like, is your back okay? Are you tired? Are you, and then that can open up a conversation. It could not open up a conversation, and that's okay as well. Like I said, you're not just going to go there with a list and like have a friend who just had like someone pass away or close to them and then be like going through the list. Don't do that. These are just suggestions on how to handle a person in crisis, or things that might make me feel well when I go into mine, and what I would like people to do. There's that. Or to remind me, stuff like that. Number 8. Okay. This I'm doing with a disclaimer. Okay. Number 8. This too shall pass. So everybody says what doesn't kill us always makes us stronger. However, okay, there is a lot of evidence to suggest that people experience what is known as like post-traumatic growth, right? In this aftermath of crisis and adversity. Once the dust has settled, let a person who is in crisis know that can lead them to a positive psychological change, and acknowledge the change they've already made. Do not tell someone in the middle of an active crisis that this too shall pass. Because nobody wants to hear that poop. Okay? Nobody. So there is evidence that suggests, though, that this works, but you have to find a way to acknowledge the progress they've made and kind of get them to move in. Okay. But again, key word, dust has to settle. Okay. Let the dust settle. I am not a fan of someone who says this too shall pass. I find it very dismissive, and it annoys me. And it's usually going to trigger me to tell you to go F off and then go into a bigger crisis. You know what I'm saying? It's just not the time. There's a time and a place, and you got to be careful with that. 9, prepare them or be there for them. So prepare them or be there for them for the emotional roller coaster. Because once you get over the initial shock in a crisis, whatever it is, okay, it's important to get reminded that those people are going to go through various emotions, right? Because even with grief, okay, so there's stages of grief that we all know: denial, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Okay, so those are the stages of grief. In case you didn't hear them: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Okay, it is important to remember that in adversity, a crisis moment can throw up all sorts of feelings. Okay, that's just grief. You have to go through, 5 stages of grief. If you have other stuff going on, you got extra stuff: guilt, shame, helplessness, all sorts of stuff. Self-confidence killer every time. All of this is self-confidence killers. There's no map for emotional terrain that a person is going to encounter when they heal. So, and what you do and what I do and what someone else does can all have a different emotional terrain. So the best thing you can do is just prepare them for twists and turns ahead. When I did this, I didn't go through what I did, but I remember when this happened to me, I kind of felt all these, and get very personal with them so that I know, and so that they know what is going on, that it's perfectly okay to feel these tumultuous emotions that are normally very negative or have negative connotation behind them, and that positive is on the other end. Okay. But not too much positive, because you don't want to say this too shall pass. You can state, these are all the emotions that I went through on my roller coaster. They're perfectly okay if you're feeling these things too. I'm here for you. And then don't add, because this too shall pass. I'm fine. So you're going to be fine. Don't do that. It's not about you. 10, know when it's out of your realm. Okay. This is very important because a lot of people like to talk mental health and nutrition and all these people. All somebody has to do is sell a supplement nowadays, and all of a sudden you got a PhD in medication and healthcare. Know when it's above your station, because the support system of friends and families is very crucial. Okay, but there are some situations and crises that people will go through that require professional help from a licensed professional, not you, not your sister, not, Beth, because she went through something similar and she's one of your friends. Nope. They will require professional licensed help. People make the mistake of waiting for the right moment to suggest therapy. I'm going to tell you when's the right moment for therapy. I think every day is the right moment for therapy. I love therapy, and it's better to seize a momentum of a situation and sooner than later. You know what I'm saying? If you see that your friends are not really getting out of it, keep suggesting therapy. I don't care how much they say they can't afford it. There are lots of programs that provide it for them, or will provide it for them free of charge. There are lots of places that your insurance are covering it now. Maybe they might say that they just don't need it, because they're beyond that right now, because they're seeing a whole different world, right? Because they need professional help. And you're not going to be able to talk them out of it. All you can do as a friend is keep suggesting it. I would highly recommend therapy. I hear and acknowledge everything that you're saying right now, but I think that I don't have the professional answers or the knowledge to tell you things I think you should deserve to know or deserve to feel. And so I would recommend finding a therapist. Boom, you're done. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to keep wanting. So are we still going to lunch tomorrow? Keep it going. Keep it going. You know what I'm saying? If it comes up next time and they're still in the same frame of mind, hey, you know what? It's really, it hurts me that you're still feeling this way. Again, I highly suggest calling a therapist just so like they have this, like, you have a professional opinion. You could be in and out of there, or you can be there for 10 years, or you can be there for 20 years. I don't know, but you should try it. What are you ordering for lunch? That's all. Just keep it going. This way they know it's always there. It could make a difference. It could make a huge difference. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I did today with weathering the storm. Today, just so you guys know, is our. I feel like it's our. It's our. You guys have been listening. Some of you have been listening from the very beginning. Today is apparently my 90th podcast episode, not including Coffee Talks. I think I'm like at 143 episodes. That's crazy. But 150 episodes is a milestone in podcasting. So we're going to hit that this month. So I'm super excited. So happy Easter. Happy Easter's over. Happy April is what I meant to say. I can't believe Easter was in March. So there's that. But happy April. And I will see you guys next week. Until then, with time.